This is a traditional, old-fashioned Sunday school carrot cake is what I like to call it. So simple and easy to make. Let's get started. And first we want to sift together in a bowl 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that we're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder, as well as a teaspoon of baking soda. And sift these ingredients together in your mixing bowl. Once your dry ingredients are sifted together, add to that a teaspoon of salt. Also, I want to add a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon, or more to your taste. Give that a mix. And then we're going to add 2 cups of white granulated sugar. And then we're going to add 1 cup of butter, softened butter. I'm using this Irish butter that I got at Aldi. 1 cup, or you could also use 1 cup of oil. That's also an option. So 1 cup of softened butter, and I'm using salted, or you can use unsalted, or you can use 1 cup of your favorite vegetable oil. Now to this we're going to add 1 cup of room temperature sour cream. And once we get the sour cream in there, we're going to give this a mix. And you want to take your mixer and you want to mix this until it is well combined. And what I mean by that is you want to mix the flour with the butter and sour cream. Combine it well to where you don't see any more dry patches of flour. That's very important. And once you get it well combined and you no longer see any dry flour, move on to the next step, which will be 4 room temperature eggs. We want to get those incorporated. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by adding the first egg, which is just basically going to introduce some liquid to this mixture. And once I get the liquid in there, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the eggs. And you want to mix this until it's well combined. Now this is a drained 20 ounce can of crushed pineapple. The drained pineapple itself measured out to be about 1 cup. And we're going to add that directly to the batter. Make sure it's well drained. But this was a 20 ounce can that yielded 1 cup of pineapple itself after it was drained. We're going to add to this about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And then you want to go ahead and mix this together. After that, we're going to add about 2 cups of freshly grated carrots. Do not buy the pre-grated carrots. You want to grate them yourself. And once we get that mixed in, we're going to add to this 1 freshly grated Honeycrisp apple, or you could use a Red Delicious apple or whatever kind of apple you have on hand. Just make sure it's kind of sweet, because the sweetness of the apple will bring out the sweetness of the carrots. And I'm just going to grate that apple. This grater works so well, it was really no need to even peel the apple, so I just grated it directly into my batter. And you go ahead and fold that in there. And once you get this well incorporated, it will be time to divide this up into 3 pans. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, we did 2 cups, 1.5 cups of chopped walnuts, which is optional. If you don't want the nuts, you don't have to have the nuts. So I have 3 8-inch pans here that I'm going to spray the bottom and the sides very well with baking spray. Once I got them sprayed, I did pop them in the freezer for 10 minutes, and that's what they look like when they come out of the freezer. It just helps that spray to get set in place. Then I just evenly divide this batter up into the 3 pans, and this baked in a 325-degree oven for about 35 to 45 minutes, depending on your oven. After the cakes have cooled in the pan for about 10 minutes, you want to flip them out of the pans while they're still warm and wrap them in plastic wrap. I'm placing them back in the baking pans so that I can then put them in the refrigerator to cool. 2 sticks of salted butter. I cut it up into pieces like that because it was still cold and I needed to hurry up and get it softened. So, but this is 2 sticks or 1 cup of salted butter. So while the cakes are cooling, we're going to start working on our cream cheese icing. And this is a vanilla bean whipped cream cheese frosting. Once we get our butter beat down like that, we're going to add 2 cups of powdered sugar to that to start with. We're going to incorporate that 2 cups of powdered sugar into that whipped butter. And then we're going to add our cream cheese, starting with 1 block or 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, and also another half block or 4 ounces of softened cream cheese to that. And once we get that incorporated, we're going to go in with about 2 tablespoons of vanilla bean paste. And then to that, we're going to go in with the rest of our powdered sugar, which will be. So I gradually added in another 4 cups of powdered sugar for a grand total of 6 cups of powdered sugar to this. Now you can do more or less depending on your taste. And then you're going to whip this on a medium speed for about 10 minutes until it's nice and light and fluffy like this and well combined. And once our cakes have cooled in the refrigerator and are cold, we can go ahead and assemble our cake. The recipe that I showed you for the vanilla whipped cream cheese icing is enough to ice this entire cake. If you double the recipe, you can. That's going to give you an enormous amount of frosting, which is fine if you are planning on doing some elaborate decorations. But if you're just going to ice and decorate this cake, filling frosted, this recipe is plenty. I even ended up with some left over. So the recipe I'm giving you for this whipped vanilla bean cream cheese icing is plenty icing for this 3-layer cake. I just want to make that clear because people will ask me that again. Did I double the recipe? No. The recipe I'm giving you is the recipe that you need. So here we are just doing a simple decoration with our offset spatula where we just go around and do these edges just to give it a pretty little homemade look. I will check my work and patch it as I need to, meaning there is a point up here where I dig a little too deep in the side of the cake right there. And so I want to cover that patch with some icing. And then what I'll do is once I cover that patch, I'll just go around the cake again, doing the same pattern until I get it to where I'm satisfied with it. But like I said, this is simple. This is nothing elaborate. You can do much more elaborate decorations if you wish. But if you're just serving this, let's say for Thanksgiving, or just for Sunday dinner, I think this is just as pretty and just as elegant as it needs to be. That is the amount of frosting that I was left over with. And now let's cut this cake and show the inside of it. This cake is loaded. It is definitely a traditional, classic, old school carrot cake. That's why I call it the old-fashioned Sunday school carrot cake, because that's what it reminds me of. Full of flavor, full of moisture. The cake is tender from the sour cream. It's not overly sweet. It's so balanced with this icing.